Good afternoon, my friends. I'm excited to be here today. And today I'm going to take on the question of what are the winners of the iGaming industry in America going to look like in 5 years from now. But first, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that it's a dark time in the world. And I can't imagine the power one man making one action can have on the world. I heard a Democratic senator the other day say that it feels like the end of the world. But enough about Elon Musk buying Twitter. So I'm Todd Haushalter. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Evolution. And I have a unique perspective of the industry because I get to see and work with lots and lots of great operators. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule. Been said by Jesus Christ, Socrates, Plato. It's ingrained in most of the religions of the world. And before there was ever ESG, we all just knew the golden rule. But I would like to contend that the golden rule maybe applies to business. Maybe if you do unto customers as you would have them do unto you, it might be a recipe for success. And as I thought about this question, what are the winners of online gaming going to look like in 5 years from now? I looked outside the industry. So I'd like to just talk about 3 companies that are living by the golden rule and doing a good job of it. The first one is Apple. Apple lives by the golden rule by all the things that they don't do. They control your eyeballs. You look at your iPhone 100 times a day, and they don't advertise to you. They don't push stuff on you that you don't want. Privacy is a religion to them. Everything just works perfectly. They agonize to make sure that apps don't end up in the App Store that don't work the way they're supposed to or as advertised. They have free classes in their stores. People just want to hang out. You want to be associated with Apple. It's an aspirational brand. Amazon, powerhouse company. For a small fee every year, they'll give you unlimited shipping. They constantly are trying to make shipping faster, make their prices lower. They make returns as easy as pie by partnering with companies all around the world so that you can just quickly send it back. Insanely big selection, right? And then on top of that, they give you free movies and music streaming as well. You don't even consider buying anywhere else. And finally, I want to talk about Southwest Airlines. They have the biggest market cap of any airline in America. And to my knowledge, they're the only company that gives you 2 free checked bags. That's the golden rule. That's how we want to be treated. Seems simple. What else do they do? If your plans change, there's no change fees. They just let you change it. They also give you free TV and movies on every seat. They don't charge you for it. They have a loyalty program that's amazing. Unlimited seats available on every plane for loyalty points. And on top of that, your points never expire. When I'm interacting with other airlines, I feel like I'm at war with them. That's how it feels sometimes, like you're at war. You don't even want to call them because you're worried about the fees you're going to get stuck with. 3 companies, all living by the golden rule. And now I want to look at 2 sectors within iGaming. I want to look at the operators and the suppliers and take a stab, even a prediction, at the behaviors that they're going to be demonstrating when the top 1 or 2 or 3 winners emerge in 5 years from now. Okay, first the casinos. They're going to have a generous return to player percentage. I know this is a controversial subject. Everybody likes to have a different opinion on it. Sands is the biggest gaming company in the world, and they run the entire company on less than a 2% house edge. I've never heard a player say, I would wish you would figure out a way to take my money just a little bit faster. They're going to have a friendly loyalty program that's easy to understand. It's going to have natural tiers. You're going to be able to use your points. Maybe you'll even be able to use them outside of the site. It's going to be simple, usable. It's going to make you want to bet more. They're going to give you lots of gifts. And they're going to do their best to eliminate wagering requirements. Getting $100 isn't that useful if you have to bet $2,000 before you can get it. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard because I get that there's bonus abuse out there and everything else. And that's why the winner of the future is going to be a completely AI-driven site. And the AI is going to help you identify the bonus abuse. You're not going to be constantly getting beaten by them because the AI will be able to detect it in all sorts of fancy ways. AI is also going to help your players find games that they're looking for just sort of magically. It's going to make relevant bonusing. I don't necessarily know soccer, but I get a lot of emails that there's new soccer matches and I should come and bet. And it'll even help with problem gambling, which is pretty cool. This one speaks for itself. If you want your money, you're just going to be able to get it. I don't see any casino being dominant in 5 years from now and making you sit on your money for a few days before you can get it. The customer service is going to be perfect. Gamblers are a finicky, fussy crowd. And when things get sideways, they want somebody on the phone now, right now. They don't want to wait. They don't want to have a bot talking to them. They want to talk to somebody about why their bet got rejected, why there was an accident on the table, why their slot didn't pay out as they thought it should, or whatever. They want it now. And they only want quality games. It's not offering your players wide variety if it doesn't work that well on an iPhone 6 or a Huawei P10. You're only going to have good, high-quality stuff, and you should hold your suppliers to a high, high standard. Apple makes sure the apps that hit the App Store work. And you'll be able to bet on everything under the sun. Some operators do a really good job with this right now. You'll be able to get every bet down you can possibly imagine at reasonable levels. And you'll be able to bet by voice. Alexa, what's the line on the Giants game? Giants -5. Bet $50. Confirmed? Confirmed. It's going to be a lifestyle brand. You are going to want to be associated to the iCasino that is the winner in the future. You proud to say, I'm going to the Bellagio, I'm going to win. I carry an Apple phone. That's how you're going to feel about it. And you're going to see it in pop culture. When you watch television shows about sports and things like that, you're going to see their brand. You're going to see it on YouTube. You're going to see celebrity associations. And then they're going to have an offline presence as well. Offline presence can mean many things. It could mean that you have associations with restaurants and sports bars. It could mean that you have your own casinos. It could mean stadium experiences. It could even mean like the American Express lounges that you see in airports. But they're going to have offline touch points for sure. Maybe you'll even be able to use your rewards at gas stations, things like this. But you're going to feel the presence offline. And everything's just going to work. Like Instagram, like Facebook, like all the apps that we're used to using, like YouTube, everything just works. There's not going to be any downtime during the Super Bowl. All devices, all browsers, all operating systems. If you have low bandwidth, it's going to stick with you and hold your hand and keep with you. The games are still going to function. It's hard, but everything is just going to work. These are going to be the traits of the casino that's winning the future. Everything's just going to work. It's going to be fluid. You're going to want to be associated to it. And it's basically following the golden rule. This is what we want. As players, it's what we want. Let's talk about suppliers. So on the supplier side, you've got a wide collection of groups there. You've got platforms, you've got sports betting services, you've got slot makers, you've got bingo, you've got services, third-party services, crunching data, payment services, all sorts of stuff. I understand live casino the best, so that's where I'm going to focus. And I'm going to answer a question that I get asked all the time. I get asked by investors, I get asked by people in the industry. Real simple. Why is live casino so hard? Pretty straightforward question. Isn't it just this simple? You just put a camera in front of a roulette wheel. This is young evolution. You just put a camera in front of a roulette wheel and enter the result. Actually, yeah, it is that simple. But nobody's going to play that product. To get everything just right is backbreaking. It's incredibly difficult. Doing live streaming video to one-to-many players, it just wants to break all the time. And then new versions of Chrome come out, new iOS comes out, it just wants to break. We're 16 years at this. We struggle every single day with this. And we're spending $30 million a month running live casino services. It's a very hard thing to get right. There's a list that was shared with me. There's 41 live casino providers out there right now. And I was surprised. I didn't know there was that many. It's a robust group. And many struggle. It's very tough. It's very expensive to compete. We've seen land-based and online casinos alike go into the live casino space, and then they go out of the live casino space. We acquired NetEnt, and they had a 500-person operation. By most measures, one of the most successful live casino companies out there. And when we finally got our hands on it, we were shocked to see that it's bleeding money every single month. It's a very hard business. You can see Authentic Gaming on this list. Very good company, very capable operators. Been sold 3 times in 5 years. First, Leo Vegas bought it, and they sold it to Genting, a very capable land-based operator who knows how to move cards around a table for sure. And then they sold it recently to Psy Games, Light and Wonder. I don't think that's a reflection on how, on anything other than just that the space is hard. Now you want to get into the space, and what's hard about it? First, you got to build studios. And studios aren't just studios. They're basically like tech centers plus a movie studio plus a training facility plus an office. Oh, and by the way, it's a casino that has to be heavily regulated at all times, where regulators have all kinds of nuanced different rules and jurisdictional nuances that you have to follow everywhere around the world. So that's fine, you can do it. Every challenge, every location is a new challenge. And you've got to build these things in areas that are like near bus lines and train lines so that all your staff can get to the operation. But it's also a tech center. So it's not exactly in the techie part of town. Well, you might struggle with having stable electricity, something we've struggled with in multiple jurisdictions, because this is a serious 24/7 energy consumption business. And so then you have to poke holes in the ground, run electricity lines, close roads to do it, work with the local governments. It's just a hassle. Then you've got to integrate all of that at your studio into the global tech, maybe drop in a pandemic where there's new rules being written every day about how close you can be to each other, how many people can be in the building, working closely with the local governments to stay running during the pandemic, different studios around the world. It's hard. It's really hard. Then you have on-camera operations. So you've got your studio built, you're ready to rock. First of all, you're just constantly hiring. It never stops, because you're hiring these youngsters and students and like that are your dealers, and they just turn over fairly quickly. That's just life. And so, we're hiring like 1,000 people a month, maybe 250 people a month in the United States right now. And it's very, very tough. So you bring them in and you push them into your training academy, which you have to have. So you can teach them how to operate and function inside of a live casino. And there's just procedures for everything under the sun. Because this is human beings dealing cards, right? Card goes on the floor. Dealer pulls 2 cards. Dealer accidentally exposes their whole card. Dealer spins the ball and it doesn't make enough revolutions, so you have a no spin. A dealer spins the ball and it flies out of the wheel. 2 dice land on top of each other. Dice lands on the side. Dealer freaks out in the middle of a hand and just goes crazy. Dealer says, screw this, I'm not going to sit here, I'm just going to go to the bathroom, and walks off the table. We've seen it all. This is life with human beings. It's not like the slots business where you just plug them in and make sure it stays plugged in. It's hard, really hard. So now you've got your training center, you've got your dealers, everything's running, it's pretty fluid. And you've basically focused on 3 things operationally. You want the games to be without mistakes. You want them to be at a reasonable speed, and you want the dealers to smile and be friendly. And boy, do they fight each other. So you want the dealers to be friendly? Great, they're going to slow down. You want them to be mistake-free? That's going to make them slow down. You want them to speed up? Great, but then the mistakes are going to go up, and the players are going to flip out. And then you have to treat your new dealers differently than you treat your more seasoned dealers. You have to have a compensation structure that reflects all of this, and then you have to track it with hopefully a homegrown piece of software that you've written that meticulously manages all this, just so that you can offer the players a game that's mistake-free, fast, and friendly. It's a heck of an effort. And then you make a religion out of what we call games till mistake. So how many games do you deal before a mistake happens? And you have to make a religion out of it while trying to do the other things. It's a very tricky thing. And then once you've got all that going, great. Now do it all again with the new staff that you bring in. Do it all again in a new location. And do it all again when new games come out. It's hard. And you got off-camera operations. So you've got customer support in many, many local languages. You've got uniform controls. You've got a scheduling office. You've got a chat moderation. What's chat moderation? Well, players get nasty in the chat. They write miserable, horrible things to each other and to our dealers. It's crazy. And you have to have it moderated in real time, 24/7. Your bots will not work. There is more ways to write FU than your bots can detect, I assure you. And so we have a team that works around the clock just to keep the chat healthy. Who knew that you even needed that? And that's just the price of doing business. Then you have to have systems for everything. Nothing can be manual. If there's a fire alarm in the middle of a blackjack hand, what are we going to do? This guy was dealt a blackjack. This guy had a 20. A dealer's got a 6. What are you going to do? You have to have a procedure. You've submitted it to regulators, maybe different regulators in different jurisdictions, right? What are you going to do? You have to have refund tools built so that you can get the players back their money, so on and so forth. So you have to have a team that does nothing but shuffle cards. They do nothing but shuffle cards and move cards and dice around the building in a secure way because you're running a casino, right? And then there's risk and surveillance. I could go on for hours about this subject. This is a super fun one because it's the bad guys, right? And on the screen here, you can actually see in the top left, there's a wheel bias that detects if the wheel has a natural bias. Or you can also do wheel clocking, which is fun. That's basically predicting the ball speed and the wheel speed. And then you just turn it into a physics problem. It tells you where to bet. When you write a bot, it'll just do it for you automatically. And so you have to have defense mechanisms against that. Shuffle tracking. That's when we identify dealers that have a weak shuffle. Ace tracking, so we can follow the aces through the deck. That's what you see there on the top right. Aiming for sections, if you have a dealer that's spinning the giant wheel, aiming for sections, how are you going to stop that? You can also do it in roulette, a lot harder though. Internal threats, gaffed equipment, you name it. There's just an unlimited supply. And there's big money. You've taken bets that are well into the thousands, and so there's serious money to be gained. In Las Vegas, if you use your phone to card count in blackjack, you go to prison. It's illegal. It's against the law. Of course, every player online can do that. It's just how it works. Tough environment. And more than a few operators have learned the hard way not to take game protection lightly. They can bankrupt casinos. They wake up after 2 years, they think they had the best blackjack players in the world, only to realize that they've been getting card counted or they had marked cards in the house the whole time. It's crazy. And then there's product, and this is where I live every day. It sort of speaks for itself. You want to make games that players love. But I thought I would give you just a fun example about what you got to do is you got to agonize over all the details to really delight the players. So on the screen, you see something called a dice tower. And we were doing a game that has 3 dice. And I put a challenge out to the team. I said, hey, what's the most fun possible way that you can roll 3 dice? Okay. So the guy comes over to my desk, he puts this thing on. I said, what is it? He's like, oh, they use them in Dungeons and Dragons games, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, yeah, okay, what? No, let's build a big giant thing. It'll be awesome. Like, okay, prove it out. Okay, this is how it looked. You think a company of our size, we're probably like pretty good at this stuff, and this is how it starts. And it moves on to this one. I think it's just the most fun way you could possibly roll 3 dice. And it just shows, you're going into the fine agony over what's the absolute most fun way to do this. I think the players are delighted by that. Last section I want to talk about is technology. It's easy to stream video one-to-one. Streaming one-to-many with perfect video sync, not having the cards not having the digital information show up before the card, doing that across far distances, on all devices, on all browsers, in all forms of bandwidth. It's very, very difficult. As I said, it's just constantly wanting to break. We have a 30-person video team that does nothing but optimize for different devices around the world. It's so tricky, and you're just always frustrated because it's never good enough. I know I'm not. And you're only as good in online gaming as your worst playing experience. To get it right 90% of the time, you're out of business. Because every 10th hand, there's a mess up. Players flip out when there's a problem, and then they never play you again. So sportsbooks, platforms, bingo, it's all the same thing. You have to just offer a beautiful, seamless, fun experience that just never breaks. I think of it as a flawless playing experience, not so much tech, just a flawless playing experience. And there are enemies of the golden rule. There are 3 specifically that I can think of. Number 1, short-term gains. We can't do that because it's going to take too long for the players to learn that we're running higher RTP. We don't want to do it. We got this quarter ahead of us, too expensive of a project. Simply, we just can't. I mean, we're not in that space. We don't have restaurants all around the world. We don't have associations. We don't have stadium associations. That's not what we do. We're a tech company. And finally, my favorite, I don't hear players complaining. That's a good way to set me off in a design meeting. I don't hear anybody complaining. Yeah, no, they're just leaving. I assure you they're complaining. But just try to think, how can you delight your players? So just do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Apple, Amazon, Southwest Airlines, they follow the golden rule. I'm pretty confident that the winners of online gaming in the next 5 years are going to be following the rule. And it's going to be hard if you try to implement this. There will be pain. Your company will fight you, but the players will embrace you. Thank you.